So in the next video, we're going to show you how you actually can find the determinant of an n by n matrix. But in this video, before we even do that, I want to talk about how we choose the row or the column that we're looking at to do so. Because this can get pretty tricky, and I want to give you this tool first so that I don't have to explain it in the next video. So, my first rule is to pick the row or column with the most zeros. Whichever row or column has the most zeros, that's the row you want. If you have multiple rows with the same amount of zeros, then the second rule kicks in. So if you only have one, this could end on 1. If you only have one row with 2 zeros, you're good. But if it's not, then what you want to do is pick the ugliest choice remaining. So pick the one with the bigger numbers. Bigger numbers are uglier than smaller numbers. Or the ones with the 5s, the 3s, the 7s, the 11s, and so on. You want to pick those over any others. And so I'm going to give some examples. Suppose that you're asked to find the determinant of the 3 by 3 matrix 1, 0, minus 1, 0, 2, 2, and minus 1, 0, 0. Well, there's two choices here because there's 2 zeros in this column or there's 2 zeros in this row. And with these it doesn't matter too much, but I'd actually pick column 2 to be my choice, because it's got the uglier number. 2 is uglier than 1. Okay, a follow-up example. Suppose I have instead minus 1, 0, 0, 3, 2, 0, 4, 5, minus 3. Here, again, I've got a column and a row that have 2 zeros. So I'm going to pick one of these two, and only one of these two. I'm going to ignore the rest of them because they only have 1 or they have none. So here, this column has a 3, and a 3 is uglier than a 1. So again, I'm going to pick column 3. Not 1 this time, but it's going to be column 3. Okay? What if I'm finding the determinant of 2, 1, 4, 0, 0, 0, 1 half, 2, minus 5? Well, again, if you remember what I said, there's a really ugly column here. But even more importantly, there's a row with 3 zeros, or a column with 3 zeros, excuse me. So I'm going to pick column 2 here because it has the most zeros. He beats out the ugliness of these guys. The zeros are just going to make my life that much easier. And I'll show why in the next video. Well, what if I have, let's turn back to black, 3, 4, 1, 1, 4, 3, 4, 3, 1. There are no zeros here. I've got all sorts of ugly numbers, all sorts of 4s and 3s floating around. But I want you to notice that this 4, 4, 3 here has the most ugly numbers, so it's the one I'm going to pick, and it's going to be column 2. Now, in this particular case, I picked all columns. That's just happenstance. You want to look at the rows just as much as you look at the columns. For instance, if I had this one of 3, 2, minus 7, 4, 1, 9, let's not make that a 9, let's make it a 1 as well, 2, 1, 3. The ugliest piece here is this row right here. So here I would pick row 1 because that minus 7 is ugly, and the 3 and the 2 are about the same, but the 2 and the 1, I like the 2 better than I like the 1, so I'd pick that row. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which one you pick, but by carefully selecting, following these rules, pick the one with the most zeros first, and then pick the ugliest one. That tends to make the problem easier down the road.